Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into part 1 of Simon Sinek's best-selling book, Start With Why: How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action. In this book, Simon Sinek explores a powerful concept he calls starting with why, which is all about understanding the deeper purpose behind what we do and why it makes such a huge difference. This first part, a world that doesn't start with why, sets the stage, explaining how most leaders and organizations today completely miss the mark. By focusing too much on what they do and how they do it, they lose sight of why they do it. And you know what? This simple shift in thinking changes everything. We'll walk through chapters 1 to 14 and look at the traps of common leadership and marketing tactics, like relying on incentives and fear instead of a deeper, inspiring purpose. So let's get into it. Chapter 1, Assume You Know. Simon Sinek starts by calling out a common mistake, assuming we know what motivates people to do what they do. Many leaders and companies believe they understand their employees and customers, but really, they're only scratching the surface. Think of it this way. Companies usually focus on results, how much profit they're making, what products are popular, and so on. But here's the catch. This kind of focus can be misleading. It only tells us what is happening, not why it's happening. To explain this, Sinek uses an example from the business world. Imagine two companies that make the same product, like computers. They both sell a similar product with similar features, and they both want to make a profit. But here's where it gets interesting. If one company understands why it makes those computers, like Apple, whose purpose is all about thinking differently and challenging the status quo, while the other is just focused on selling as many computers as possible, guess who wins? The one with a purpose. Apple's why resonates with people, and it's what makes their customers loyal fans. People aren't just buying a product, they're buying into a vision. In contrast, when companies just assume they know what customers want and only focus on making money, they often fall short. Sinek argues that we see this assumption in all kinds of leaders and companies. They act on what they think people want to hear or see without digging deeper to understand why they exist and why that matters to people. So the big idea in Chapter 1? It's to stop assuming we know what makes people tick and start understanding the deeper emotional reasons behind their actions. Leaders and organizations who understand their why are able to build real, lasting connections with people. And that's because when people feel inspired, they're motivated to take action and stay committed. Starting with why helps us see that we're all looking for purpose, for something bigger than just the what or how. Chapter 2, Carrots and Sticks. In Chapter 2, Sinek explains how most companies try to get results by using incentives or carrots and sticks. Carrots and sticks are basically rewards or punishments used to push people to behave in a certain way. And while these tactics might work in the short term, they rarely inspire any real loyalty or deep connection. Let's start with carrots. The rewards. Companies use promotions, discounts, bonuses, and sales to attract customers or motivate employees. It's like dangling a carrot in front of someone to get them to move in a certain direction. And yes, it works, temporarily. But here's the problem. These rewards don't build long-term loyalty. For example, if a store offers a huge discount, it might bring in lots of shoppers. But as soon as the discount disappears, those shoppers will probably just go looking for the next best deal somewhere else. They aren't loyal to the store. They're only loyal to the deal. And then we have the sticks, or punishments. Some companies use fear, deadlines, or pressure to make people act. A manager might even threaten to fire an employee if they don't hit a certain target. And sure, people might do what's needed in the moment, but they're not feeling inspired or connected. They're acting out of fear, not passion or loyalty. Sinek argues that while these tactics work on the surface, they don't get to the heart of what really motivates people. Without a deeper reason, a why, people won't feel that inner drive to give their best. Instead, they're always looking for the next carrot or avoiding the next stick. It's exhausting, and it doesn't lead to the kind of trust or loyalty that makes companies truly great. So why do companies rely so much on carrots and sticks? Sinek explains it's because they don't know any other way to motivate people. They believe that manipulation, whether through incentives or fear, is just how things are done. But as he points out, companies that truly inspire don't need these tricks. Instead, they're able to draw people in with a clear sense of purpose. People choose to work with them or buy from them because they feel connected to the vision, not because they're being pushed or pulled. A powerful example Sinek uses here is Martin Luther King Jr. When he gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, he wasn't using carrots or sticks to get people to listen. He was speaking from the heart, sharing his why, his dream of equality and justice. And that inspired millions. People came from all over, not because they were getting something out of it or because they were afraid, but because they felt a sense of purpose. They believed in the vision he painted. The main takeaway from Chapter 2? True inspiration comes from a deeper purpose, not manipulation. Carrots and sticks might get short-term results, but they can't create lasting loyalty or trust. If you want people to feel genuinely motivated, you need to offer them something more meaningful, something they can believe in. Starting with why gives people a reason to act that goes beyond rewards or fear. In Chapter 3, The Golden Circle, Simon Sinek introduces a simple yet powerful concept that explains why some leaders and organizations are more inspiring and successful than others. The Golden Circle is made up of 3 circles nested inside one another: why, how, and what. Most organizations start from the outside and move inward. They focus first on what they do, then how they do it, and only a few ever reach the why. But Sinek argues that truly inspirational leaders and companies start with why and work their way outward. Let's break down each part of this golden circle. 1. What? This is the outermost circle. It represents what a company does, the products they sell, or the services they offer. This is usually the easiest part to define, and nearly every company can describe their what. For example, Apple sells electronics, like computers, smartphones, and tablets. The what is straightforward, and every business has it. 2. How? Moving to the next circle, we have the how. This is how a company does what it does, their unique process or approach that sets them apart from competitors. This could include things like a company's unique selling points, innovations, or special techniques. Apple's how includes their beautifully designed products and simple user-friendly interfaces. For some companies, this how might be proprietary technology, or it could be a unique way of delivering a service. The how is often what companies focus on to show why they're better than the competition. 3. Why? Finally, we get to the innermost circle, the why. This is where the magic happens. The why represents a company's deeper purpose, the reason it exists beyond just making money. It's the cause or belief that drives them, the impact they want to have on the world. Apple's why is about challenging the status quo and thinking differently. It's about making products that empower people to change the world through technology. Sinek explains that most companies can tell you what they do and how they do it, but few can clearly explain why they do it. And this why is so important because it's what creates a sense of purpose and connection. When a company starts with why, they inspire people to support them, not just because of the product, but because they believe in the company's vision. A great example of this is Martin Luther King Jr. Sinek points out that when King gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, he didn't focus on what needed to change or how to change it. Instead, he shared his why, his dream of a better future and a world of equality. This vision inspired millions to rally behind him. People followed him because they connected with his why, not because of any specific plan he laid out. Sinek believes that starting with why can completely change the way people feel about a brand, product, or leader. When people believe in a company's purpose, they feel a personal connection, which leads to loyalty and trust. Apple, for example, has customers who feel like they're part of a community, not just buyers of a product. So, the Golden Circle teaches us that when leaders and companies start with their why, they're able to communicate in a way that's emotional and meaningful, not just transactional. It's about tapping into people's feelings and beliefs, not just appealing to logic. And that, Sinek says, is what separates companies and leaders who inspire from those who don't. They put why at the center of everything they do. When the why is clear, the how and what follow naturally. In Chapter 4, This Is Not Opinion, This is Biology, Simon Sinek dives into the science behind why starting with why is so powerful. He explains that this isn't just a feel-good concept, it's actually rooted in human biology. Our brains are hardwired in a way that makes us respond strongly to purpose and deeper meaning. And Sinek uses the structure of the brain to show exactly how and why this works. The brain has three main parts that align with Sinek's golden circle: the neocortex and the limbic brain. The neocortex is the outermost layer, which aligns with the what of the golden circle. It's responsible for rational and analytical thinking, as well as language. This part of the brain helps us understand all the facts and details about a product or a service, things like price, features, and other logical aspects. When a company explains what they do, they're speaking to the neocortex. But then we have the limbic brain, which represents the inner circles: how and why. The limbic brain is responsible for our feelings, our decisions, and our behavior. This part of the brain doesn't have language, so it's not about logic or facts. Instead, it's where our emotions, instincts, and gut feelings come from. When something just feels right, or when we have a strong sense of loyalty to a brand or cause, it's because our limbic brain is engaged. Here's the fascinating part: most buying decisions come from the limbic brain. We might think we're making a choice based on logic, but in reality, it's usually our emotions and gut feelings that drive us. When companies focus only on what they do, the facts, the details, the logical selling points, they're missing the chance to connect with people on a deeper level. They're only talking to the neocortex, and that part of the brain doesn't inspire loyalty or passion. But when a company starts with why, they're speaking directly to the limbic brain. They're tapping into our emotions and values, which is where real loyalty and trust are born. Sinek explains that this is why we tend to go with our gut when making big decisions. The limbic brain drives our behavior, and it doesn't always have a logical explanation, which is why it's so powerful. When we feel strongly connected to a purpose or a belief, we're willing to go the extra mile, take risks, and stick with that company or leader even when times are tough. Sinek uses Apple as a classic example here. Apple doesn't just sell technology. They stand for challenging the status quo and empowering people through innovation. This message connects with people on an emotional level. Apple's fans aren't just buying products. They're buying into a shared belief. That's why people are often loyal to Apple, even willing to camp out overnight for a new product or pay a premium, while other tech companies struggle to create that same level of connection. So the key takeaway from Chapter 4 is that starting with why isn't just a marketing tactic. It's about understanding human nature. Our biology makes us respond to purpose and values in a way that facts and figures alone just can't achieve. When companies or leaders communicate their why, they reach the part of the brain that drives loyalty, trust, and long-term commitment. Sinek shows that this deeper connection is what separates leaders who inspire from those who simply manage. It's a natural biological response, and it's incredibly powerful. In Chapter 5, Clarity, Discipline, and Consistency, Simon Sinek highlights the three core elements that make starting with why truly effective: clarity of why, discipline of how, and consistency of what. These elements work together to ensure that a company's purpose, its why, stays strong and guides every action, decision, and message. Let's break down each element. 1. Clarity of why. Sinek emphasizes that leaders and companies need absolute clarity about their why. This means having a crystal clear understanding of the purpose, cause, or belief that drives them. Clarity of why is not just about having a nice-sounding slogan or mission statement. It's about truly understanding what you stand for and why you do what you do. Without this clarity, it's easy for organizations to get lost or send out mixed messages. When leaders know and understand their why, they can inspire others by showing what they believe in and why it matters. It's this clarity that attracts others who share similar beliefs. 2. Discipline of how. After clarifying why, the next step is having the discipline to consistently act on it. Sinek describes how as the specific values, principles, or actions that help a company bring its why to life. It's not enough just to know why you're doing something. You also need to live it out in a disciplined way. The how creates a roadmap that ensures every action aligns with the why. For example, a company that values innovation should foster a culture that encourages creativity and new ideas. It's the discipline of sticking to this how, even when it's challenging, that strengthens a company's sense of purpose and makes it genuine. Without discipline, a why can become just empty words. 3. Consistency of what? Finally, there's the need for consistency in what a company does. The what includes all the products, services, and communications a company puts out. Sinek points out that when people see consistency over time, they start to trust and believe in a brand. Consistency is the proof that a company is staying true to its why. If a company's actions are inconsistent, people will notice, and it can damage trust. For example, if a company claims to care about quality but starts cutting corners, customers will sense the inconsistency and the trust will weaken. When what aligns with why and how, people can feel the authenticity, which builds a strong connection with customers, employees, and the public. Sinek also compares this process to a megaphone. Imagine that the why is the message you're sending out. The how is the structure of the megaphone, making sure the message is delivered effectively. And the what is the sound that comes out, loud and clear, reaching everyone. Without clarity, discipline, and consistency, the message gets muddled and loses its impact. But when all three are aligned, people hear the message loud and clear, and it resonates deeply with them. An example Sinek shares is Southwest Airlines. Their why is to bring freedom to the skies by offering affordable travel for everyone. They consistently stick to this purpose by creating a no-frills, efficient service model. Their employees are encouraged to deliver friendly, caring service, which is part of their how. And every what, from ticketing to customer service, reflects this mission, making Southwest one of the most trusted airlines because they stay true to their why. So, in Chapter 5, Sinek shows us that starting with why is only powerful when it's supported by discipline and consistency. Clarity, discipline, and consistency work together to create trust, loyalty, and a lasting connection. When companies and leaders bring all three elements into alignment, they don't just have customers, they build a loyal community that believes in their mission. In Chapter 6, The Emergence of Trust, Simon Sinek dives into one of the most important pieces of any great organization: trust. Trust isn't something you can force or buy. It has to be built slowly, piece by piece, as people feel connected to the organization's purpose and values. Sinek explains that trust emerges from a sense of shared beliefs and values. When people work together toward a common why, they feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. It's not just about getting the job done. It's about knowing you're all in this together. This kind of trust only grows when people feel safe, respected, and valued, and when they know the organization truly has their best interests at heart. One of the biggest mistakes leaders make? Trying to force trust through rules, policies, or incentives. Trust doesn't come from regulations. It comes from relationships. When leaders genuinely care about their employees and create an environment where people feel safe and valued, trust emerges naturally. Sinek uses the example of the military, where soldiers trust each other with their lives. This trust isn't something that's ordered or enforced. It comes from a deep commitment to the mission and to each other's well-being. And here's something powerful. Trust requires vulnerability. Leaders who are willing to be open and honest with their teams, who can admit they're not perfect, show that they're real. They're not hiding behind strict policies or acting above everyone else. This vulnerability is what makes people feel connected. When leaders try to act invincible, they create distance, and trust just can't grow in that kind of environment. Trust also inspires loyalty. When people truly trust their leaders and the organization, they're more likely to stay, even when things get tough. It's not just about liking each other. It's about knowing that you have each other's backs. When challenges arise, people who trust each other don't point fingers or try to place blame. They come together, support each other, and solve the problem as a team. And guess what? Trust fuels innovation and creativity. In a place where people feel safe, they're more willing to take risks, try new ideas, and think big. They're not afraid of failure because they know their team has their back. This freedom is where real innovation happens. When people are confident they won't be judged or punished for making mistakes, they're much more willing to think outside the box and go for it. One amazing example Sinek shares is from 3M, the company that gave us Post-it notes. At 3M, trust is a core part of the culture. Employees are encouraged to spend 15% of their time working on any project they want. This level of trust has led to some of 3M's most successful products, including the Post-it note. When people feel trusted and valued, they're more likely to be creative, loyal, and totally dedicated to the mission. The big takeaway from Chapter 6: trust is the foundation of any great organization. It can't be forced. It has to be nurtured through a shared purpose, vulnerability, and genuine care for each other's well-being. When leaders build a culture of trust, they don't just create a company. They create a community of people united by a common purpose, ready to support one another and inspired to make a difference together. If you're loving this deep dive into Start With Why, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It means a lot and helps us bring you more content just like this. In Chapter 7, How a Tipping Point Tips, Simon Sinek dives into what it really takes for an idea, a product, or even a movement to reach that crucial tipping point where it spreads like wildfire. It's not just about reaching the masses. It's about connecting with people who genuinely believe in what you believe. And when that connection happens, incredible growth follows. Sinek explains this concept through something called the law of diffusion of innovation, a model that shows how new ideas spread across groups of people. According to this law, any group can be split into 5 types based on how quickly they embrace new ideas. Let's break it down. 1. Innovators. These people love new ideas. They're the ones always on the hunt for the latest and greatest, always excited to try something fresh and different. Innovators make up about 2.5% of the population. They don't need much convincing. They're naturally curious and ready to dive in. 2. Early adopters. Next, we have early adopters, around 13.5% of the population. These folks are also open to new ideas, but they're looking for something deeper, something that resonates with their values. When they find a product or idea they believe in, they jump on board and become passionate advocates, helping to spread the word. 3. Early majority. Then we reach the early majority, about 34% of people. These folks are a little more cautious. They want proof. They want to know that something works before they commit. They usually join in only after innovators and early adopters have shown it's worth it. 4. Late majority. After the early majority comes the late majority, another 34%. These people are more skeptical and typically only get on board once an idea has become mainstream. They need a lot of social proof before they'll feel comfortable adopting it. 5. Laggards. Finally, there are the laggards, who make up about 16% of the population. These are the ones who resist change at all costs. They'll only adopt something new when they absolutely have to, and are the toughest to persuade. Here's the magic part. If you want an idea to tip into widespread acceptance, don't focus on the masses right away. Instead, concentrate on the innovators and early adopters, those people who are excited to jump in when they find a product or idea that resonates with their values. These early adopters will become your strongest advocates, spreading your message with passion and enthusiasm. When they connect with your why, they become powerful allies who help you reach the early and late majority. Sinek brings this idea to life with the story of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Movement. Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" speech wasn't just words. It was a vision of equality and justice that deeply connected with people's beliefs. The early adopters showed up because they felt inspired, and they brought others with them, creating a momentum that turned into a massive movement. This group of early believers helped Dr. King's message spread beyond his initial supporters, eventually reaching millions. The key takeaway from Chapter 7? Don't try to win over everyone at once. Start with those who get it, the innovators and early adopters. When you connect with them, they'll take your message to that tipping point where your idea or product can go from niche to mainstream. That's the magic of starting with why. In Chapter 8, Start with Why, but Know How, Simon Sinek dives into the importance of balancing why with how, because both are essential for real success. It's not enough to have a powerful purpose or vision. Leaders need a clear understanding of how to bring that vision to life too. While our why is the spark that drives us, how is the plan that makes our dreams achievable. Why inspires us, but how brings that inspiration to action. When leaders understand their why, they naturally attract people who believe in the same purpose. But it's the how that makes it possible to deliver on that purpose consistently. Knowing how ensures that we don't just have a big dream, we have a reliable way to achieve it. Sinek illustrates this with Southwest Airlines. Southwest's why is to make air travel accessible and affordable for everyone. That's a bold, inspiring purpose. But what really makes Southwest successful is the how, the unique systems they use to run a low-cost airline, like having one type of airplane to simplify operations and cutting unnecessary expenses. These methods allow them to deliver on their why and make flying affordable. Without a clear how, Southwest wouldn't be able to live up to its purpose. Sinek emphasizes that every organization needs a how person, someone who knows how to turn vision into action. These are the people who take an inspiring why and create processes that make it work in reality. For example, Steve Jobs was the why guy at Apple, always pushing for innovation and challenging the status quo. But he needed Steve Wozniak, the how guy, who had the technical expertise to make those dreams a reality. Woz knew how to build products that lived up to Apple's inspiring vision. Together, they created products that embodied Apple's why. If there's only why without a clear how, an organization risks becoming a dream without results. It may attract a lot of excitement, but without a way to deliver consistently, people will feel let down. On the other hand, a company that focuses only on how without a clear why may be efficient, sure, but it won't inspire anyone. It'll be just another company focused on processes, missing that spark that makes people care. Sinek's key takeaway is this: leaders who understand both why and how can inspire others while also delivering on that inspiration. These leaders communicate a strong purpose and provide a clear path to achieve it. When people understand both, they're not just working, they're motivated and they're proud to be part of something bigger. And here's the amazing part. When leaders stay true to their why while nailing down their how, they create a culture that people want to be a part of. Employees don't just follow instructions, they understand the purpose behind their work, and they know exactly how to contribute to it. They feel valued and are willing to go the extra mile because they see they're helping make the vision a reality. So, in Chapter 8, Sinek shows us that while starting with why is the foundation, knowing how is the structure that supports it. Leaders need both to inspire people and deliver on their promises consistently. When you have a powerful why and a clear how, you create a team that's not only inspired but also effective. And that's where the real magic happens. In Chapter 9, know why, know how, then what? Simon Sinek wraps up his Golden Circle framework by showing how what is the final visible piece of the puzzle. The what is all about the products, services, and actions that show the world what a company or organization stands for. The what only works when it truly reflects the why and how. When these three layers are aligned, they create a powerful, authentic message that resonates deeply with people. Sinek emphasizes that too many organizations get caught up in their what, the products they sell, the features they offer, or the results they've achieved. But without a strong why and a solid how, the what doesn't carry much meaning, right? Think about it. If a company has no clear purpose or belief system, its products are just products. They may sell, sure, but they won't inspire loyalty, trust, or passion. The what is only powerful when it's an extension of the why and how. Take Apple, for example. They don't just make computers, phones, or tablets. They create products that reflect their purpose of challenging the status quo and empowering people to think differently. Everything about Apple's what reinforces their why. From the sleek design to the innovative features, each product feels like an invitation to join the movement and embrace a different way of thinking. Customers feel like they're buying more than just a device. They're buying into a belief, an idea that resonates with them personally. The most successful brands, Sinek argues, are those that have a strong why, know how to bring it to life, and then communicate it authentically through their what. These are brands that don't just sell products, they inspire people. They attract customers, employees, and partners who believe in what they're doing, because their what consistently reflects a deeper purpose. Sinek points out that for this to work, the what needs to be communicated with clarity and consistency. Every action a company takes should reinforce its purpose and values. He calls this concept authenticity. And authenticity isn't just about being genuine. It's about alignment. When a company's why, how, and what are all in sync, people see that alignment and feel that authenticity. And when people believe a brand is authentic, they're more likely to become loyal advocates who stick around for the long haul. Here's an interesting takeaway. When people see a what that feels disconnected from the why, they instinctively feel distrust. Imagine a company that claims to care deeply about the environment, but sells products with excessive plastic packaging. Wouldn't customers sense the disconnect and feel the brand is insincere? Any inconsistency can erode trust, making people question the company's integrity. Sinek also stresses that leaders need to protect this alignment as their companies grow. When businesses expand, they face new challenges, new competitors, and new pressures. It's easy to lose focus on the why and slip into simply making the next product or getting the next sale. But leaders who keep their why and how front and center, who stay committed to their core values, they're the ones who build lasting, inspiring organizations. So, Chapter 9 teaches us that the what is what people ultimately see, but it needs to be a clear, honest reflection of a company's why and how. When all three layers of the golden circle are aligned, people sense the authenticity and feel drawn to the brand's mission. This is how great leaders and companies inspire loyalty, trust, and excitement, creating brands that people are genuinely proud to support. In Chapter 10, communication is not about speaking, it's about listening. Simon Sinek completely shifts our thinking about communication in leadership. We often believe that being a great communicator is all about speaking well, delivering the perfect message, or saying the right words at the right time. But Sinek tells us something so powerful. True communication actually starts with listening, not speaking. Can you believe that? When leaders take the time to truly listen, they connect on a deeper level with those around them, making people feel heard, understood, and inspired. Think about it. How many times have you listened to a leader or speaker but felt like they were just talking at you, rather than connecting with you? Well, when leaders focus only on talking, they miss the opportunity to understand their people. Instead of delivering one-way speeches, they need to listen to what matters to others, to understand their needs, beliefs, and values. This way, when they speak, it actually resonates with their audience because it's grounded in what really matters to them. And here's the real game changer. When leaders listen, they build trust. When people feel truly heard, they feel respected, valued, and understood. It's simple. Listening creates an emotional connection that helps people open up, share their thoughts, and feel like they're part of something bigger. This is where true leadership starts. A leader who listens is not just focusing on their goals, but on what's important to the people they're leading. That's what fosters loyalty, commitment, and long-lasting relationships. Sinek also highlights the importance of paying attention to both spoken words and nonverbal cues. Leaders who listen actively are aware of the little things, the body language, the tone of voice, the way someone reacts to a new challenge or feedback. It's not just about hearing words. It's about understanding the emotions and intentions behind them. When leaders listen deeply, they pick up on the unspoken messages and can respond in ways that make people feel truly understood and valued. But here's the kicker. Listening isn't just about hearing feedback. It's about empathy. Leaders need to put themselves in the shoes of others to genuinely care about how people feel, what they're going through, and what's important to them. Empathy helps leaders truly understand the emotions driving people's actions, and that's what makes their communication so much more effective. When you show someone you understand them, they don't just feel heard, they feel like they matter. And you know what else? When leaders listen first and speak second, their messages hit home way harder. It's not just about telling people what to do. It's about inviting them to believe in a shared vision, to be part of something meaningful. And guess what? When people feel that the leader understands them and reflects their values, they're far more likely to be motivated, loyal, and truly committed. So the big takeaway from this chapter is that true communication is a two-way street. It's not about delivering a monologue, but about creating a dialogue. Listening first, Then speaking allows leaders to connect on a human level and create an environment of trust, empathy, and mutual respect. When leaders do this, they don't just inspire action, they inspire true loyalty and commitment. People don't just work for the leader, they believe in the leader and the shared vision they're all part of. Now that's the power of listening in leadership. All right, let's explore Chapter 11 of Start With Why by Simon Sinek, titled When Why Goes Fuzzy. In this chapter, Sinek dives into what happens when a leader or organization loses sight of their why. And let me tell you, it's a big deal. When the why becomes fuzzy, unclear, weak, or even forgotten, the connection that once drew people in starts to fade. This can affect everything from company culture to customer loyalty. Sinek explains that this loss of clarity doesn't usually happen all at once. It's gradual, almost sneaky. When leaders start focusing too much on what they're doing, like products and services, or how they're doing it, processes, metrics, they can lose sight of the real reason they started, their why. And without even realizing it, they begin to drift. Have you ever seen a company you loved just change? And you couldn't quite figure out why it didn't feel the same anymore? Sinek gives us a powerful example. Starbucks. When Starbucks first opened, they had a clear why, to create a third place between work and home. It was about offering people a community, a comfortable spot where they could relax, connect, and enjoy some quality coffee. It wasn't just about selling coffee. It was about creating an experience, a sense of belonging. But as Starbucks grew, that mission got blurry. They started focusing on expansion, profits, opening as many stores as possible. And guess what? Customers noticed. The unique, cozy vibe of Starbucks started fading, and it became just another coffee chain. Have you ever walked into a place you loved and felt like it just wasn't the same anymore? This fuzziness of a company's why can be dangerous because it's so subtle. Leaders don't always see it happening. They might think they're just adapting or growing. But over time, all these small shifts add up. Employees start feeling less inspired. Customers stop feeling connected, and soon, the brand loses that special touch that once made it meaningful. How many companies do you think suffer from this fuzzy why without even knowing it? To keep the why clear, Sinek says leaders have to stay grounded in their purpose, especially as they grow. They need to ask themselves tough questions like, are we still true to our original mission? Or are we getting distracted by profits or short-term gains? When leaders stay close to their why, everyone else does too, from employees to customers. This keeps the brand strong and real. Sinek believes that an organization's why should be like a guiding star. It's not some fixed goal to achieve and then forget. It's a direction to keep them on track, even as everything else changes around them. Leaders who stay clear on their why build legacies that last, no matter the trends or pressures. Think about it. Wouldn't you want to be part of something that stands for more than just profits? So, Sinek's message in this chapter is clear. When the why goes fuzzy, the connection between the brand and its people starts to break. Staying true to your purpose, even in times of change, is what keeps that trust and loyalty strong. Without it, any company risks becoming just another company instead of a movement people believe in. All right, let's dive into Chapter 12 of Start With Why by Simon Sinek, titled Split Happens. This chapter is a wake-up call about what can go wrong when organizations lose sight of their core purpose, their why. Sinek calls this moment the split, when a company begins to disconnect from what originally made it special, and it usually happens when leaders focus too much on short-term gains, like profits and metrics, instead of sticking to the long-term vision that inspired them in the first place. In the beginning, companies thrive because they have a clear purpose that everyone, leaders, employees, and even customers, believes in. This purpose is what attracts people to the brand. It's not just about the product or service, it's about the values behind them. Think of companies like Apple or Southwest Airlines. They didn't just sell products. They stood for something bigger, something people could connect with. That sense of purpose made them stand out. But then, over time, things change. As a company grows, new pressures emerge, and that's when the risk of the split happens. Leaders start chasing short-term profits, expanding their product lines, or catering to a broader market just to please shareholders. They get distracted by the what, profits, numbers, growth, forgetting about the why that originally made them great. And while that might boost financial results in the short term, the company loses the very thing that made it unique. The heart and soul of the company begin to fade. Sinek brings up Walmart as an example. Under Sam Walton, Walmart was driven by a clear purpose: to help everyday Americans live better by offering affordable products. But after Walton's death, the company's focus shifted. Leaders started pushing for growth at all costs, making decisions that prioritized profits over people. Employees were treated poorly, and the customer experience wasn't the same. Walmart became less about its original mission and more about being just another big retailer trying to win at all costs. The result? While Walmart grew, it lost the loyalty and connection with customers that it had in the beginning. This split isn't just something that happens to businesses. It can happen to leaders, to movements, and even to individuals. It's easy to get sidetracked by external rewards like money, recognition, or success, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Once you've experienced the split, it's incredibly hard to get back to your why. Trust is broken, and the magic that made people care is lost. Sinek emphasizes that your why is the foundation of everything. Without it, your organization or your personal mission starts to crumble, and no amount of success will make up for that lack of purpose. So stay true to your why, especially when you face pressure to grow or adapt. The moment you forget why you started, that's when things start to go wrong. Split happens is a powerful reminder. Don't ever lose sight of your purpose. It's not just a feel-good message. It's the key to long-term success, meaning, and connection. Without your why, everything else is just a house of cards waiting to fall. All right, let's dive into Chapter 13 of Start with Why by Simon Sinek, titled The Origins of a Why. In this chapter, Sinek explores where our why really comes from, and let me tell you, it's fascinating. A why isn't something we just invent out of nowhere. It's actually rooted deep in our unique experiences, values, and beliefs. Think of it like your personal fingerprint. No one else has the same one, and it's what makes you, you. Sinek explains that every single person and organization has a why. Yes, that includes you. Your why is the reason you get out of bed every morning, that driving force inside you. And here's the amazing part. We don't get to make up our why. It's already there. It's shaped by our early experiences, challenges we've faced, and the people who've influenced us. And for organizations, the why often comes from the founder's original beliefs and vision. It's passed down to everyone else who believes in that purpose. Take Apple, for example. Apple's why wasn't just about making computers. It came from Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak's shared belief in challenging the status quo and empowering people to think differently. That's why every product Apple made wasn't just about tech. It was about inspiring creativity and independence. And people felt that. Apple wasn't just selling computers. They were selling a philosophy of freedom and individuality. Isn't that powerful? Sinek shows us that a why often comes from a personal story or a pivotal moment. Maybe you have a defining experience that shaped your beliefs or a role model who taught you a core value. For a company, it's the founder's original mission that becomes the backbone of everything. And here's the key. A true why doesn't change with trends or growth or pressure. It's steady, like the foundation that holds everything up. Now, finding your why isn't about creating something from scratch. It's about uncovering what's been there all along. Sinek encourages us to look back at our lives or a company's history to find those moments that made us feel alive. Those times we felt truly connected to our purpose. That's where the why lives. And for leaders, this might mean going back to the company's roots, remembering why they started in the first place. That original mission? It's the heart of everything, and reconnecting with it can be so powerful. And remember, a why doesn't need to be huge or dramatic. It just needs to be real. Whether you're leading a team, building a brand, or just trying to live a meaningful life, a clear why gives you direction. It helps others see who you are and why you're worth standing with. In short, the origins of a why reminds us that purpose isn't something you find by looking forward. It's about looking back. Your why is already there. It's what's guided you through every big moment. So, when you're searching for it, don't think of it as something you need to create. Think of it as something you've always owned. If this resonates with you and you want more inspiring insights, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. What's your why? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. All right, let's dive into the final chapter of Start with Why by Simon Sinek, titled The New Competition. In this chapter, Sinek wraps everything up by giving us a fresh, powerful way to think about competition. Instead of focusing on beating others, he challenges us to inspire everyone, including ourselves, to stay true to our why. Here's the thing. Most companies get too caught up in what their competition is doing. They're constantly watching rivals' strategies, products, and prices, trying to outdo them. But guess what? This approach keeps them playing someone else's game. Sinek explains that real leaders, the ones who build loyalty, trust, and excitement, don't focus on what everyone else is doing. They're driven by their own why, and they ask, how can we best serve our customers and community? They're playing their own game, and that's what makes them stand out. Sinek introduces a powerful concept, the infinite game versus the finite game. A finite game is like a sports match. There are clear rules, fixed players, and a final score. But business and life? They're infinite games. There's no true finish line, no single winner. Companies come and go, industries evolve, and the game keeps going. So instead of trying to win against rivals, Sinek encourages us to keep improving ourselves, keep pushing our purpose forward. Isn't that a refreshing way to think about it? He shares examples of brands that stay true to this infinite mindset, companies like Apple, Harley-Davidson, and Southwest Airlines. These brands don't obsess over competitors. Instead, they focus on their unique mission, asking, how can we better serve our customers? How can we stay true to what we believe? And it works. This focus creates real connection, trust, and loyalty. Their customers don't just buy a product, they buy into a purpose. Think about it. Would you rather support a brand that's just trying to beat the next guy, or one that stands for something meaningful? Sinek's message is clear. When we embrace this mindset, we stop competing for every sale or follower and start focusing on what makes us unique. It's about purpose over profit. Sure, success and profit are important, but when they're fueled by purpose, they're deeper and longer lasting. When leaders lead with why, they aren't afraid of competition. They see it as motivation to keep improving, to keep delivering value. Doesn't that sound freeing? So, Sinek reminds us that the greatest measure of success isn't in the numbers. It's in the positive impact we have on people's lives and how well we stay true to our purpose. This idea isn't just for companies. It's for anyone who wants to make a difference. Ask yourself, am I focusing on what others are doing, or am I fully committed to my why? The new competition isn't about rivalry. It's about constantly challenging ourselves to be better, to stay true to our why, and to inspire others to find theirs too. When we think this way, our potential becomes limitless. Sinek's final message is inspiring. Don't worry about beating others. Focus on being the best version of yourself, staying true to your purpose, and playing the infinite game. That's where real success and meaning lie. If this inspired you to keep leveling up, check out our next audiobook summary. You Become What You Think. Insights to level up your happiness, personal growth, relationships, and mental health. Trust me, it's packed with wisdom to help you grow and find purpose. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's keep this journey going together.